Good to see all of you again. Hope you've enjoyed your lunch. And Herb, thank you for that very warm introduction. I have to say, President Obama asked me to come out and introduce him tonight, but I said no. I agreed to. I told her I'd be speaking at the PortTechEXPO. No, just kidding about that. Glad to see that work is being done all around this nation to improve it and to promote clean energy. And the work we're doing here today and discussions we have are going to be incredibly vital towards that mission. The Energy Commission is proud to have funded a number of companies that are here today, and we look forward to working with more of you and the ports in years to come. Based on the number of people I got to speak to after my first opening comments, I think we'll be getting a lot of calls at the Commission and a lot of interest in our programs. And that's what we want to see. We there, at the government, we are investing the money of taxpayers, and so we want to hear about your business ideas and find out where the new opportunities lie. So I'll get down into the meat now, talking a bit more, expanding upon some of the themes that I brought up earlier. Being a good environmentalist, of course, is going to be a little bit of recycling from this morning. But I think you'll find a lot of new information and so some more meat on the bones. Our recent administrations, and then currently with our Governor Jerry Brown, have established ambitious climate, air, and clean transportation goals. Whether it is reducing greenhouse gas emissions to 80% below 1990 levels by 2050, reducing carbon intensity of fuels by 10%, by 10%, or reducing NOx emissions by 80% by 2023, or getting to 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles on California roads in 2025, the participation of ports and the goods movement industry to the solution is vital. Reducing California's dependence on petroleum is not easy, but it is necessary because this dependence makes the state extremely vulnerable to price volatility and environmental impacts. Petroleum consumption accounts for over half of the state's energy demand, nearly 70% of smog-forming pollutants, and over 40% of the state's greenhouse gas emissions. Reducing petroleum use will be necessary to improve the state's environment and health, but something is needed to replace it. Today, I'm here to talk to you about what that something is. So a few folks have asked me, what is the Energy Commission? And I'm happy to tell you. So let me take a step back and tell you what we do, and then what the work you're doing here today, how that feeds into the overall state plan. The Energy Commission is the state's primary energy policy and planning agency. We have 5 commissioners and about 600 employees. Our activities include licensing thermal power plants, transmission planning, promoting energy efficiency, renewables, alternative fuels, energy research, energy forecasting, and consumer education. As lead commissioner at the Energy Commission for transportation, renewables, and natural gas, I am proud of the work the state has done to promote a diversity of alternative and cleaner fuels and technologies, in particular through the Commission's Alternative and Renewable Fuel and Vehicle Technology Program. As the Commission looks for high-impact opportunities to transform California's transportation sector, greening our ports and goods movement have become an increasingly important focus. The scale and magnitude of the cargo movement at the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach are immense. One only needs to look outside to see the tremendous assemblage of heavy-duty equipment that it takes to move these goods off of ships, into the yards, onto the distribution hubs, and into our homes. The economic benefits that result from the port operations are real. Billions of dollars in freight and thousands of jobs for port operations. Truly, this is an important economic hub for California. However, the scale of these operations also result in extensive environmental and public health impacts. The ports are one of the largest sources for diesel emissions in Southern California, which continues to have some of the worst air quality in the country. Although the economic benefits from ports flow broadly through communities and socioeconomic classes, much of the air pollution is borne by the communities east of the ports. It is those communities directly adjacent to port operations and the major transportation corridors that suffer the greatest environmental impact as measured in asthma and other poor public health indicators. Our common challenge, summed up by the port's mantra, more cargo and cleaner air, which I have to say actually appeals to me both as an environmentalist and a shopper, is how to maintain and enhance the economic value of the ports while minimizing impacts to our environment and to ourselves. Overcoming this challenge requires significant investment by industry and government. Cleaner ship fuels, electrification of ships at dock, and modernization of the port's truck and rail fleets are critical. And the results in terms of reduced emissions already are impressive. California ports are already taking action, exercising leadership, and having an impact. As recently announced by the ports of LA and Long Beach, they have reduced port-related emissions by up to 75% for diesel particulates, 50% for NOx, and 23% for greenhouse gas emissions, just since 2005. This is a tremendous achievement. These are already two of the greenest ports in North America, but to reach local air quality and climate change goals, more investment and private and public sector support are needed. To further reduce port-related emissions, the next era should focus on commercially viable and scalable zero-emission technologies for heavy-duty freight movement. Governor Brown's Zero-Emission Vehicle Executive Order, which calls for the 1.5 million electric vehicles on the road by 2025, the port's roadmap for zero emissions, and the South Coast AQMD and the California Air Resources Board Vision for Clean Air 2012 to 2050 lay out the suite of technologies we will need to invest in and consider. No doubt there are economic, technical, and regulatory challenges with achieving this vision. Heavy-duty, zero-emission technologies are expensive and in the very early phase of demonstration and deployment. The technical and material challenges for creating and scaling zero-emission vehicles are tough, but we do have the technology expertise, as evidenced by the companies today, and the will in California to achieve zero emissions goods movement. And also, very importantly, we have some money. So I think many of you are probably interested in that idea, so let me talk a bit more about what we're doing at the state to fund some of these initiatives. The California Energy Commission's Alternative and Renewable Fuel and Vehicle Technology Program, commonly called AB 118 after the legislation, was established by the state legislature in 2007 and is funded through a small surcharge on vehicle and boating registration and smog fee checks. AB 118 provides nearly $150 million annually in grant funding for development and deployment of advanced technology vehicles, alternative non-petroleum fuels, alternative fueling infrastructure, workforce training and development, and planning and technical research. The money is shared and distributed by the Energy Commission and California Air Resources Board. The Energy Commission is responsible for about $100 million annually, and the Air Board distributes $40 to $50 million annually. In order to spend the AB 118 funds, the Energy Commission annually updates and adopts an investment plan with support from a 20+ member advisory board. If you're interested in the activities of the 118 program, you can go to the Commission's website, energy.ca.gov, get on the listserv for the 118 program, and you'll get announcements about our planning process, and really there's an opportunity there for you to provide input. Through June of this year, the Energy Commission has issued nearly $250 million in contract grants for 122 projects. This includes $35 million for advanced technology truck demonstrations and $23 million for natural gas truck deployments. Often when we talk about zero-emission goods movement, we focus only on the vehicles themselves. But it's not just the propulsion technology that we need. Having convenient places to fuel, enhanced roadways, skilled technicians, and land use planning that welcomes these new technologies is key. Electric drive trucks need a charging infrastructure that can handle the load of high voltage charging at night and during the day. We will need dedicated roadways for catenary wire technologies and perhaps linear synchronous motors as that technology matures. We will also need operators, mechanics, and technicians who can use and maintain these new drivetrains. And we need regional governments to plan and coordinate for these new technologies as well. AB 118 is a critical funding source for all of these elements of our zero emissions future. We provide funding for drivetrain technology and battery development. We fund electric charging infrastructure, hydrogen, natural and renewable gas fueling stations. We fund workforce training and development and regional planning through our EV community readiness grants. Just to add some more numbers, since 2009, the AB 118 program has put nearly $35 million into advanced technology truck demonstrations for medium and heavy-duty trucks, including many specific projects for zero-emission electric drive and hybrids. In April, we released a revised project award list totaling $22 million for 13 new advanced technology trucks, including specific projects for port drayage operations. We've put $46 million into electric vehicle, component, and battery manufacturing companies such as Qualion, Quantum, Boulder Electric, and TransPower, all based here in Southern California. These companies will create the next generation of lithium-ion batteries, controllers, and inverters needed to make zero-emission electric drive vehicles cost competitive. To reduce the cost of vehicle purchases, the California Air Resources Board has provided over $31 million in voucher incentives for over 1,000 new hybrid and zero-emission trucks from its portion of the AB 118 program, and nearly $20 million in incentives for passenger electric vehicles. I know it can be hard to sometimes figure out what government agency does what. And so in case it wasn't clear, as I noted, we're in partnership with the Air Resources Board, and our share of the 118 fund really focuses on getting the infrastructure, getting early demonstration, early deployment, making sure the communities are ready, as well as focusing on the fuels. The Air Board's portion of the money deals with providing direct buy-down incentives for the vehicles. The only vehicles that we do direct buy-down incentives at a commercial scale are natural gas vehicles. So as you're figuring out how to participate in the AB 118 program, depending on what your need is, you may need to work with one or both of the agencies. Through this current investment plan, speaking about infrastructure, we've provided $24.9 million for electric vehicle charging infrastructure and $35 million for hydrogen fueling infrastructure. So for low-emission vehicle technologies, such as natural gas-powered trucks, we put $23 million into CNG and LNG powered trucks, with some of our biggest awards coming to Southern California. For example, the South Coast AQMD received a $5.1 million grant for LNG tractors for port drayage operations as part of their ARA grant. The San Bernardino Association of Governments received a $9 million award for over 200 heavy-duty natural gas trucks. We've also put nearly $7 million into CNG and LNG fueling stations and have funded 40 stations to date. As you can see, the program supports a diverse portfolio of alternative transportation technologies. Ultimately, to get to the greenhouse gas goals of 2050, we will need technologies that are zero emission or extremely low emission. But we're supportive of anything that can improve the air quality as well as the efficiency of the trucks and vehicles we have to date.